so welcome back to another edition of Inside BBI, and this is our Inside the Top 100 Giants. We're now going to be speaking with number 56 on the list, number one in our hearts as far as cornerbacks go for the New York Giants, Mr. Mark Collins. Mark, first off, thank you so much for joining us. John McDevitt and Eric Kennedy. Man, you were the OG, as I mentioned before offline. You were with us with BBI Online Live back in like 2009. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight.
Oh, John, it's always good to be doing Eric, and thanks for the invite. It's pretty cool.
Nice. So as I mentioned, the Giants just did a top 100, right? So, and here you are. It's done by, I believe, different people who cover the Giants. I don't know if any past players are involved in it, but definitely people who covered the Giants. They picked the top 100 players of over 5,000 men who've worn the uniform. They picked the top 100. You came in at number 56. Just what did that mean to you when you got that call? And I believe Bob Papa is the one who called and let you know.
Well, first of all, it means a lot, and I'm still in shock. By the way, no, well, it's funny how it happened. I was in California at my winter place, and I was on a patio smoking a cigar, and then I was watching Golf Channel, and Bob was in Newport Beach doing the senior tour for the PGA, and I'm doing a little business, but I want to talk to Bob about it. So I said, Bob, you're in town. Okay. He goes, yeah, let's talk later on, whatever. Cool. So he went from Newport down to Palm Desert. So we connected down there. I went on there, drove to see him, and I walked up, I found him, and we started talking. And before we hugged it out, shook hands and stuff, and he got on this spiel about the Giants' history. And he's talking, Mark, the Giants been around since 1925, and still start talking. This thing took like 15 minutes. He's talking. And in between, I'm going, Bob, let's talk business. He's still talking. He goes, and at the end, he goes, and, we come up with this list of the top 100 players to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Giants, and you're on that list. And I'm going, oh, cool. Okay, cool. He goes, and you're pretty goddamn high. You're at number 56. I'm going, okay, cool, Bob. Let's finish talking business. I know you're going to go back to work. And I told you, not that I was blowing them off, but I'm there to talk about other things.
Right.
So I'm walking, got my cocktail, walking to the tournament, drinking my beer and stuff. And long story short, I'm watching the tournament. I get back in my car, drive back to the Huntington Beach, Newport area. And it didn't sink in until, I think that was in April, May? No, April, I think it was. Beginning of the PGA Seniors Tour. And I got home, didn't dawn on me. It didn't dawn on me until July. Because I'm doing other stuff. And I'm going, I'm not going to curse what I really said. I said, did he just tell me I was on the top 100 all-time players list with the Giants? And immediately what's going through my head was iconic teams in North America. You think about you think about the Yankees, you think about the Boston Celtics, you think about the Montreal Canadiens, historical teams. I'm like, man, that's pretty special. So I think I told my kids, and they got happy. But to be on that list, just to make the list in general was great, and be at 56 is awesome.
Well, I mean, I know for a lot of us older guys, unfortunately, I can say I'm in that group now. I mean, you're a true shutdown corner, back in the day. I mean, football's a little different today than it was back in the 80s. You're a guy who plays the run, you're playing the pass. It's a very physical game that you had to play, especially in the Giants defense. Yeah. You're not just covering a guy. You're not walking around. Dion got the cover guys. You had to come up and play the run. So that was a much different era. So to really fit in where you were on that list, when you look back kind of on that, because I saw when you on that episode when you were on and they were talking to when they were doing the 10 that they were talking to, I believe OJ Anderson was with you on the set to do that. I mean, just the thoughts of, some of the guys that you played with, some of the guys before you, and kind of where you fit in that history and what that kind of means.
Once again, it means a lot. And as far as the physicality, what I try to be, even in college, I want to be a complete player. You know, we're talking quarterback for instance right now, but I want to be a complete corner. I want to know line up correctly, be accountable for my teammates, cover well, and tackle well. We had that in New York with the Giants. Perry Williams is a guy who should be on our list as well. Perry
Yeah.
Williams was a fantastic cover corner. Not as physical as I was, but he should have been on that list. So, but it means a lot to be looked at, not just in the Giants organization, because as I travel throughout the league and play on different teams, and you hear feedback throughout, as you grow older,
Yeah.
uh, being a complete corner is what I hear a lot. As you mentioned, tackling, covering, knowing what to do, being accountable, that kind of stuff means a lot. And your teammates they count on me to be there as I count on them to be in their position as well.
Well,
Well, we have oh, I'm sorry, John.
no, I was just gonna say before we get, because I know Eric's got a lot of really good back football questions to ask you. I just want to talk. You mentioned your kids just a minute ago. Talk a little bit about your kids, because I know you have a son. I believe he's playing college ball, correct?
Yeah, Mark Jr. graduated from South Dakota, then got his master's at Towson, played a year at Towson. But Marco, my youngest son, is playing ball. He went to Coffeyville Community College, then went to Murray State, and they had a new coach, and that stuff happened. So he's trying to find a school, and he was waiting for these other schools to find him. I said, son, go with the best offer that's out there. So Missouri Southern, which is a Division II school, offered him a good little deal. He has 1 year left, right?
Mm.
So son, go to in Missouri. Southern's in Joplin, Missouri, which is about 2 hours from where I live right now. It's closer. You're gonna get you're playing. You're gonna play. You're gonna graduate. You got 1 year. Let's see what happens. But he's playing corner right now. He's pretty good corner.
Nice.
The season's not going that great. They're 0-3, but he's having a good season. But the team is struggling. But he's playing ball too.
Nice. Well, I know. Let's switch a little bit now back to football. Eric, I know you had some great questions, so let's go there.
Yeah, and I just want to mention to Mark too that we had Leonard Marshall on, and he agrees with you about Perry Williams, with who we all know he's very close with, but he thinks he should have been on that list too. He was kind of pissed off about it, but
yeah.
And it kind of leads in a little bit to my first question was, so back in '85, the year before you got drafted, the Giants finished second in defense. And so as a teenage boy at the time, we had a first round pick, 4 second-round picks, and then a third-round pick, of course. And I'm thinking, well, we're going to go offense, defense, but they kept going defense, 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 defense. First 6 picks in the 1986 draft, and you were the second player taken. So did you have any reaction when you got drafted, going to a defensive team and seeing, oh my gosh, and they just drafted 6 defensive players? I don't know if you knew much about the Giants coming out of college at that point, but that had to be something just to be in that draft class, because it was all defense at the top of the draft.
Yeah. Well, what I knew about the Giants when I was in college was basically they lost to the Bears, and that was it. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
And as I went go through the process of getting drafted, going to the college bowl games, I think I talked to the Giants. I talked to Parcells once, and I think that was at the Senior Bowl, and that was nothing. But Jerry Shea, the guy who got me, who scouted me out of Fullerton, I met with him 3 times, and so I thought there was interest back then. But when I got to the Senior Bowl, Parcells kind of like blew me off. I thought it was going to be a Denver Bronco or a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and that's the story of that too. But because they talked to me a lot, and then but when I got drafted by the Giants, I said, man, I'm going, and I got an article on it somewhere. I said, man, we're going to go to the Super Bowl, because I knew that was a great defense.
Right.
And my job was just not to fit in. This is, you guys don't know me that well, but I'm very confident in myself.
Right.
My attitude was, I'm coming in to start. I'm playing. That's how I was. And there was no slight on Elvis or Perry or Ted Watts or whoever they had back there. I was coming in to compete for a job, not just a roster spot.
Right.
I'm competing to start. And that's what happened.
Well, you actually just answered my second question, because you came in and there's a bunch of big personalities on that
Yeah.
defense. Gary Carson, Lawrence Taylor, George. We don't have to go through the whole list. By the way, nice call out with Ted Watts. There's a blast.
Yeah.
There's a name for the past.
But there's a lot of big personalities on that team, and you're a rookie, and Elvis gets hurt in your first season, and you end up starting, and you didn't seem overwhelmed. So I'm glad you already mentioned it, but you clearly you had so much confidence in yourself that you immediately became a fan favorite because you were doing your job from the very get-go.
Yeah, and that's well, thank you, but my mindset was coming to start. When I got to the Giants, I was on the right corner, and I was like number 6 on the depth chart. Okay, but I was also a punt returner, and I was also a kickoff returner. So I had value, not just being a second round pick, but value in doing other things. So the first week I was at right corner, and I moved up in 2 days to the number 3 spot on the right side. And then Belichick said, you know what, let's put you on the left corner because I think Perry's going to be that. We all are good corners. But on the left side, I went from number 4 pretty much in camp up to number 1. Me and Elvis was going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, I got a good shot. But then Elvis got hurt, whatever, and he was playing the slot, and I was at the first corner on the first team defense. But to move up that fast, I was confident in myself without being braggadocious and cocky.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the players who saw me play, my rank and file, Harry, Carl, Terry Kennard, Leonard Marshall, my job was to rise to their level so they have confidence in me because I knew from day one, those coaches would ask those guys, hey, what do you think about like Pepper? What do you think about Greg Lasker? What do you think about Collins? And those captains, those leaders would say, hey, listen, that guy, he's ready. Because that's what coaches do. They ask the older guys what they think about the young guys. So and it worked out perfectly.
You mentioned punt returning and kick returning, which I believe in the preseason, was it that same rookie preseason? Did you take the one back against the Jets? That same, yeah. Now that aggressiveness though scared the crap out of a bunch of us Giant fans in the game against the Saints, where your helmet came off and you kept running. That was a little scary.
Yeah, that was not a great business decision. But I mean, you do dumb stuff, and in retrospect, right now, would I do it again? No, you hit the ground, but you're so amped up with adrenaline and stuff, you just want to make a play.
Right.
And I got caught perfectly, got knocked out, and I won't do it again. Funny story about that. Now check this out. So I'm a kickoff returner and punt returner, and my punt return skills. I never returned punts except 1 year in college. That was it. So all of a sudden I get drafted to the Giants as a corner, a punt returner, and a kickoff returner. Well, we already had Phil McConkey, but my skills got him cut. But that injury, me being knocked out against the Saints, got Phil McConkey back to us.
That's right.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
So me and McConkey, well, I'm friends with them. We're brothers, right? So me and McConkey always talk about that story. But that got him back to the Giants and got him a Super Bowl ring. So you saw things work out.
Nice. Yeah, it's so looking back, that draft class really at the top of the draft became not only big contributors their rookie years, but you were cornerstones of the 90 team. I mean, that really was the older guard kind of moved off. A number of them did. You guys were the mainstays and main reasons for that 90 defense. Yeah,
we were cornerstones from that 86 to 90. You're right. Also, and we got a group text. So we have an 86 group text and a 1990 group text. So, and there's some crossover, obviously. So Pepper put a picture up there. We had a poster called the Big Blue Wrecking Crew.
Yep.
It was a poster. We're in in a lot where construction is being done. So everybody's, yeah, that's a great picture. I'm going, you know what? Out of the 11 guys who are on that picture, Leonard missed the picture. He missed the photo shoot. If you ever find that poster, I'll get it to you if you don't have it. The 11 starters, 9 or 10, not because they know when they're 10 of those starters, 10 of those guys are on that top 100 list.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And out of that draft class, me, Pepper, and Eric Howard, we're on that list. You got Leonard, Carl Banks, Lawrence, Henry Carson, George Martin, who else? Terry Kennard, Jim Burt. That's pretty flipping solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you don't know it at the time. It's kind of like that old thing, the song, if you knew that you were in your glory days when they were happening, them afterwards. Well, it's Giant fans, we look back, and I know for some of the younger fans, they look at the Eli time and the group. For us, myself and Eric and folks in our age, it's that started in 81. There was a little 82 strike and whatever. And 83 was the changeover to Parcells. 84, 85, 86. That is the crew that became, and then 88, 89, 90. I mean, that group is, when I look back at the glory days, and there's just so many talented Giant players that were on those teams.
Yeah, we were special. We were very solid. And you're right. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. But when you're playing in it, you're just going through not going through the motions. You're in the vortex, so to speak. You're in it. And you're having fun and whatever comes with it. We were fortunate to get some wins and Super Bowls out of it, which is great. And then we're doing the bad years of Ray Hanley. You don't know what you don't know. You go, what the hell is this?
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just because you were talking about the 90s season, we have a gentleman who writes for our site who does a lot of the history articles. And I would say about a decade ago, we came up with our version of the top 100. It was an all-time list, and we had to break it down by era because people who played the Giants, who played for the Giants in the 1930s and 40s are different than players that played in the 50s and 60s and the 80s and 90s and so forth. You were a no-brainer at corner. You came up, you and Mark Haynes were the modern era corners. Honorable mention went to Jason Sehorn, but every Giants fan that grew up in that time period, the first time, if you say, who's the best corner, and it comes up all the time on the website, and there's, who was your favorite corner? They say Mark Collins. But I think the younger fans who didn't see you play, they look at your stats and they say, well, they're pretty good, but what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is you were such a physical football player, and you played some of the best wide receivers, and in my opinion, the best wide receiver ever played, Jerry Rice. And Jerry Rice, and I've got some quotes here. Jerry Rice said you were a pain in the ass to play for. and Larry wrote a great article that we'd like to send to you on the 1990 team, and you're one of the subplots of that article. And it starts off with the 88 game where Kenny Hill knocks you off your feet.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice.
That still
and
kills
you
me.
Shut down Jerry that whole game. Jerry had done nothing up until that point, and that wins the game. But it's a redemption arc because you shut him down in the 90 regular season game, and he was pissed off after that game. He said, I'm gonna get Mark the next time. And then came the 90 championship game, and you took 2 games in a row. You took the best wide receiver out of football. And so anyone who ever asks, I know I'm being long-winded here, but anyone who ever asks, well, why is Mark Collins always number 1 on Giants list? It's because, and it's not just Jerry Rice, but Jerry Rice was the pinnacle. But can you talk about those 90 games, the ones against Jerry Rice?
Sure. Even you go back from the 1988 game, and I played him very well. I studied him a lot. I studied all the receivers I played against. I studied him a lot more because he was the number 1 receiver in the NFL. And, and sometimes it's just matchups. I matched up well against him. I was more physical than other people. So when I study him play against other people, other corners, they let him run. I'm going, why would you let this guy run? Why don't you just jam the hell out of him? So I was very physical, so I try to mix it up. I'll play press bail. I'll play press bail, come up and jam him. I'll quick jam. So my thing was to get in his head he knew what I was doing. But when I got my hands on him, he knew exactly he wasn't going anywhere. So anyway, uh, so that game, he got me. And I remember sitting after the game. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Yep, sitting on the bench.
I sat on the bench for about 20, 30 minutes. And I played every snap, every defensive snap against him. And I sat there. And one of the fantastic things about that whole deal, because there's good that comes out of bad results.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you learn from them.
Yep.
So I'm sitting there, and I sat there 20, 30 minutes. And as I got up, there was about 30,000 fans in the stands. And they applauded when I walked up. They still clapped. And that was cool. I never got that. So the following week, we played Dallas. We won that game. I got a safety and end zone. But anyway, leading up to 1990, I won't be long-winded here. I knew what I could do against him. And he knew what I could do against him. And I tried to be as physical as possible when needed. And if you watch the very first part of the NFC Championship game, I think the third or fourth play, the 49ers some got a quick pass to him. And I sloughed off and came up and drove him as hard as I could. I tried to hit him. I tried to knock his helmet off. And I got him and I slung him on the ground and I helped him up and I picked him up and said, hey, I'll be here all day, MF. And he walked back to the huddle. And to fast forward even on that, Joe Montana was my teammate when I came to Kansas City.
Right, right.
So we're about to go to play a game in Japan in the American Bowl. So I'm drinking a beer with Joe. He goes, Mark, I just got to tell you. He goes, Jerry just hates you. He just effing hates you. I said, oh, that's cool. That's all right. It means I did my job. So, it was good. Now, me and Jerry and all the guys who I play ball with, Flipper Anderson, Jerry, all those guys, honestly, we're friends. We don't do finger pointing. You know what? Because my thing is this, and I look at that like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Whenever you have history like something like that, whether good play or bad play, there's no need to rub it in nobody's face. It is what it is. It's history. Because honestly, we need each other. I mean, we do. That's my spin on it.
Sure.
We need each other. We have significant history in this league, and we're accountable to each other of what we did to each other, and against each other. That's the greatest of NFL brotherhood. And to bring it back to Giants, that's why when the Giants win Super Bowls, the two I got, we're brothers for life.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a odd question, I guess, in a way, because it's not 100% tied to you, but you brought it up. When you were talking to Joe, we asked Leonard Marshall this question because Leonard absolutely obliterated Joe in that game. And I asked him, have you ever run into Joe and talked to him since then? And he did. He said he had talked to him at one point and everything's fine. And, Joe doesn't hold any ill will. But when you guys were talking, Jerry did it ever come up about Leonard's hit? I mean, for Joe, that was altering his career because ultimately that was the end of him in San Francisco.
Yeah. No, it never came up. That one, nor Jim Bird, nor the 88 game. It just, it just doesn't. It just doesn't. I played over 170 some games, and Joe played maybe over 200. Yeah, you can parse plays and parse games, but in a bigger scheme of things, a lot of the guys don't really get much into the weeds of it. Right. I think guys who are, what's the word I'm looking for, who really want to build a brand of, they're knock a player out, whatever. You know what, dude. We won championships. You want to harp on a play, like for instance, I'll give you a story. There was one time after I got beat in the '89 game by Flipper Anderson.
Yep.
And I go to. Long story short, now this is at the 19. We already won our second Super Bowl, so the Lakers are playing. It's in the offseason. The Lakers are playing the Charlotte Hornets, and Gabe Kaplan had a radio show he was doing before the game at the old Felt Forum in LA, in Inglewood.
Oh, wow.
So they had me and Flipper and Jim Everett, and they invited us to talk about football, whatever, and go to a Laker game. So we're there, they're talking, And I'm sitting here, and these guys are talking about the game in 1989. And Jim is kind of, and I know Jim. Jim's a good dude. Jim's kind of, yeah, that was a great play, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there going, guys, you guys are talking about something that happened 2 years ago. Since then, you know what happened? I got another effing ring.
Right.
And then, so Gabe Kapler goes, you know what? That's a good point, Mike. Yeah, of course you're not thinking about it because this is an LA show and you're talking about the Rams, cool, and the Lakers, great. But New York Giants, we got 2 Super Bowl rings and the Rams have none. No disrespect, but you guys are sitting here like I'm chopped liver. I'm a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Right.
You're talking about a play. And after they beat us in 89, what happened? What did the Rams do? Since you want to go there, what did the Rams do? You laid an egg. So stop it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, not to make excuses. You got hurt on the play prior to that play to Flipper Anderson.
Yeah, I fractured my ankle again. I was tackling with Pete Houlihan on the sideline. And 5 plays before that, and I tried to walk it off and said, man, this ain't going away. And right before the play, Belichick, I'm seeing him on the sideline. I'm playing from off. It was man coverage. So Bill goes, get out, move up, bump. I'm like, dumbass. I go up and bump him, which I did. I got a good jam, and I still ran on it. But I knew I shouldn't have been out. I should have been out. But I played on it, and I tell everybody it was a great throw, great catch. And I don't use that stuff as an excuse, and I let it go. I said, whatever. So after the play, I limp to the locker room, walk to the locker room, and I go right to the equipment, the medical room, training room, and they took me to get X-rayed. And I forget the doctor. Ronnie Barnes said, he goes, how in the F did you play with that? So anyway, so I go shower, and so I walk out in my robe, and the New York media, there's seemed like 500 of them in my locker. So when I got out of the shower, Mr. Mara shook my hand and said, good job, Mark, and walked away. And I faced the media. I'm in my locker, I sit down, and everybody's asking questions. And that took about an hour. I answered every single question until the last reporter left. And then I got dressed. They put an air cast on my ankle, and I got to my car, I got crutches, got to the car, drove to my place in Jersey. Got on a plane the next day, go back to Southern California, and I think it was either Steve Serby called, who else? George Wills called, and a couple other guys. I think it was Vinny DeTrani called. So these guys are going, they're going, why didn't you tell us that you broke your ankle? And I was going, really, the guy had a great moment, great throw, great catch. I didn't want to spoil his moment. He earned it. Cool, got it. And secondly, I was going, knowing the New York media and the fans, Giants fans don't want to hear that shit. They really don't. No excuses. You were out there, you played, you got beat, cool. No one wants to hear excuses, especially Giants fans. You don't want to hear it. I know I didn't want to hear it.
Right. I got you.
That's all.
Got you.
It's interesting to hear you say that, though, but I didn't know it was that bad. I like John, I knew you had gotten dinged up. And didn't Sheldon White get flagged before that play too? Wasn't there
a pass interference? But yeah, we could parse plays, but the biggest thing would have been this. Now I'm going to be a little, selfish. If we win that game, I can't play against San Francisco the next day.
Right. When you look back, and I know don't want to play the woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I asked this question to anybody who was on the team during this time frame. So 80 for you, it's 86 on. So there's really only 2 seasons this is really going to matter. looking back on it in your mind, had X not had happened, whatever X might be, 88, it could be, the fact that, you lose the game to San Francisco in week 2, which would keep San Francisco, by the way, they lose that game, they're not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You guys, you guys are in. Or 89, if Bavaro doesn't blow his knee out, you guys are probably in a much different position later in the year. Which of those 2 seasons, when you talk to your fellow teammates and your own mind, man, we could have won that year if just X had not happened?
That's a great question, because we always have this conversation. We should have at least 3, maybe 4 rings. 88, tough one, because I missed the last couple of games, had a hernia, and we lost to the Jets.
Yep.
We're 10-6. Lord knows what's going to happen there. 87 was just a flipping strike year.
Yeah.
I don't know. We all count that, but at least 86, 88, 89, and 90. We should have at least 3 rings, 3 championships.
Leonard said the same thing that you did.
Yeah, we all talk about it. Yeah, we talk about it. We're gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, that's on the low end. I honestly think if I were healthy in 88, I'll throw 88 in there. I'll say 86, 88, 89, 90. And if Parcells would have stayed another year, I think we had a good shot. I think we drafted well enough in 91 to almost pretty much repeat. So you could take one on the back end, on 89, on 91, or we can kibbutz about 87 strike year, whatever.
Right.
But
right.
on the high end, 4, low end maybe 3.
Well, in the staying on the positive, in 90, so we talked about the 90 NFC Championship game, and again, I got to send you this article because there's some great quotes from you and from Jerry, and I think you'll appreciate it.
Okay.
You might say, "Oh, did I really say that?" You follow that up. Now, fans may not remember there was no 2-week delay between the championship and the Super Bowl back then. There was only a week. You guys just played. Maybe you can talk about this. One of the most physical football games I've ever seen as a Giants fan in the 1990 championship. And then you got to play this machine that just scored 100 points in 2 playoff games, the Buffalo Bills. And you come out with this crazy scheme where you're rushing 2, you got 2 defensive linemen, and you're playing people back. And I didn't know this until I looked this up. I wanted to go back and look. The Sporting News named you the defensive MVP of Super Bowl 25. I didn't know that at the time, but those that didn't see the game or don't remember it, you guys as a group, and you in particular, you leveled the Bills wide receivers. You basically gave up the short catches, but as soon as they caught the pass, you just crushed them.
Yeah, we were pretty physical. I tell you, that stretch, that whole playoff stretch was probably one of the toughest, probably in the NFL. I would throw the Raiders. I think it was the Raiders 83 or 84, 83, I think. They had a long stretch. I think they won the Super Bowl as a wild card.
Yes.
And the Chiefs just last year, they had a long stretch, a tough road to go to the Super Bowl. And ours was too, because Chicago, then you got San Fran, and then of course Buffalo. Tough stretch. I tell you what, we played Buffalo earlier that year. I think we lost 21-17 or something like that. And we had a chance to win. Phil got hurt. Jeff came in and stuff, and we had enough to win, but just didn't do it. And defensively, I think we went as solid as we could be. And I'll tell you why. We were missing some calls. Our communication wasn't that great on the back end because we didn't really get a good feel for their offense.
Right.
So our communication kind of broke down, and we let a couple of big plays, big runs go, big catches go. So when we played Buffalo again, this is what Belichick did. Because when you prepare for a team like that, you can't cut up the film. It's going to run continuously. So what he tried to do the first time we played Buffalo, try to do cut-ups. And we can't cut that up and try to get calls. It doesn't work out. We played them in the Super Bowl. He goes, we're going to do this. We watched the actual live feed of Buffalo playing the Raiders, the NBC broadcast, and we watched it as a defense. So we're here watching the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And we just got our calls. You could hear Everson go strong left, and
neat.
somebody said, just making calls. Okay, cool. All right, yeah. We could feel it. We could really feel the flow of the game. Throw that in with Belichick's defensive scheme. We were solid. We knew exactly what to do, with the calls, with the checks. So all we had to do was really just line up and lay people out. So that's what we did. We didn't do that the first game. The first game, we were just catching players and making, shoestring tackles, giving up plays. But that second game we played during the Super Bowl, oh, we knew it. We just laid them out. It was awesome.
Can you talk real quick about the difference between the 86 team secondary, the 90 secondary, the 86 team? You had a lot of youth. Greg Lasker and yourself were young guys coming in, and guys who had not been there, meaning you hadn't won big games before. The 90 team, you add Everson Walls, a guy with a ton of experience, Dave Durson with a ton of experience. Well, kind of the difference between those two secondaries and what that, and even your own experience from 86 to 90.
I think I know a lot of people may not like me saying this, but I think our 1990 team was better than 86 defense. We had no weaknesses in 1990. There was no weak spots. There were no weak spots on our 86 defense as well, but really in 86 we played defense with three corners basically. It was me, Elvis, and Perry Williams.
Right.
Herbie Walsh played a lot at safety. Kenny Hill, Kennard. Greg played a little bit. Yeah, Greg played quite a bit. I just think overall, the whole scheme, the season guys we had on 1990, we were fluid and we were fast. Were we more physical? Close, but I know this. Our 1990 defense finished number one in the NFL defense ranking. Our 1986 was number two. So I got to give our 1990 team the heads up.
Well, you guys scared me to death as a teenage kid at the time because Kennard got hurt and Herb Welch had to play in the playoff. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's gonna. But you held together. I think probably the big difference to me in the secondaries was you guys were more athletic at safety. I think in the 90 team, it seemed like to me.
Yeah, because Greg Jackson and Myron Guyton, those guys were big hitters. They were very fluid. They were fast. Nothing from Terry and Kenny Hill. But man, I just said that there was something about that 1990 defense. We were fluid, we were physical, we were fast.
Yeah.
And everybody, put it this way. So Everson Walls comes over to Dallas, from Dallas over to us. And Perry played a big part in the 19 team as well. But you have Everson Walls at right corner. You got me at left corner. You got Greg Jackson. You got Myron Guyton at safeties. We gonna throw the flipping ball,
right,
on the corner.
Right.
You got two corners who are effing good, and another corner who comes off the bench in Perry Williams who can shut you down too. Right. We were solid across the board. So,
one question I had, and we've taken up so much of your time. I appreciate you staying with us. Is okay. So as a teenager at the time, it seemed like to me you guys were a heavy zone team. It seemed like could you talk about the different kinds of coverages that you ran? You talked about a little bit, but is it fair to say that Belichick ran mostly zone and threw in some man, or the other way around?
No, Bill, he'll let us do what we want to do. We're predominantly a zone, but there's some certain caveats he'll throw in. For instance, we'll play San Francisco, and during our team meeting, Parcells will walk in, okay, Mark, you got Jerry Rice. Now, and then we break up, and then Belichick will go, okay, Mark, you know the rule. No, you got Jerry. Now, he gave certain players complete autonomy to do what they got to do against certain players. but you got to play in the confines of the defense. So I know if it's a cover two, I could make that a man coverage if I want, but I got to let the safeties know, and the safeties always knew it. Greg and Myron and even Terry and Kenny Hill, they knew, okay, you got your thing. We'll cover you, but you do your thing. So, but overall, I would say it was maybe I was maybe 60-40, sometimes 70-30 based on who we playing. And Parcells and Belichick would give me or Everson or Perry the autonomy to do what we want to do.
That's
As long
interesting
as
because
we
I never heard that before, that you guys
Yeah.
have on a kind of autonomy. That's really interesting. So
So for
thanks.
instance, he'll call let's say stack cover two. Okay. We'll show cover two, but I could go up and back, in and out against Jerry. I can be physical. I can do whatever I want to do. So, or I could play a softer two. My job was to confuse the quarterback and the receiver and the offensive coordinator. They don't know what the hell I'm doing. So we kind of disguised a lot to a certain extent. And it also gave the safeties, they knew that I'll do my thing. They can free up and do whatever. They can help somebody else.
Right.
So it worked out perfectly.
So just a couple quick things, because again, yeah, we've taken your time, man. I appreciate it greatly. You mentioned something though that made me want to ask this question. You guys win a Super Bowl in 90, and there's a real delay at the end of 90 until the spring where Parcells steps down. I've got to assume, I've asked this of other players, at least your defensive players, you guys were probably, well, let me ask this. Did you know that Parcells was going to step down, or that it was there? And how much were you kind of hoping Belichick was going to be the guy?
Oh yeah, we heard rumblings, and I found out when I was in California at home watching SportsCenter, and I said, "Damn, it's so late." I said, "What the hell?" And then you would hope that we'll get Belichick, but they waited so late. Belichick already took the job to Cleveland.
Right.
So now we're going, okay, our thumbs are up, but what are we going to do? Who do we have who could take over now? Now, when Belichick left, you knew he's going to take most of the staff with him. Roman Cornell, Al Gore, whoever, they're going to go with him. On the offensive side, well, who we got? Well, Ron Earhart already retired. You got Ray Hanley. Who else? Who can it be? So we thought it could be handled a lot better. And I know of Bill Parcells, but I don't know what he was thinking. So it just left us in a bad situation. So
yeah, it's too bad too, because I think a lot of Giant fans, the woulda, coulda, shoulda, if he had stepped down and Belichick had taken over, what might have been, because really, while that was Bill's team, that defense was Belichick's defense. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
No doubt. Yeah, everybody knew that. Yeah, that's Belichick's. And if Belichick would have stayed, we would have done it again. I'm convinced we would have, because
that team was 8. That 91 team was 8-8 with Hanley, and it would have been, seeing another 4 wins. That's easy to see with Belichick being there.
Yeah, and Al Groh took over the defense in 91. We just lost some tough games. It's tough to repeat, everybody knows that, especially back then. And then came 92 when he brought in Rod Rust, and that was awful. That was so bad. We were playing defenses that we played back under Belichick when Rod Rust was there. It was ridiculous. It was embarrassing.
So I want to finish it up, because I want to free you up, because again, we really appreciate it.
It's beer time for me now. So
nice. Well, that we do the same. We have with our show. So we already had ours. I had my. I'll tell you what. The wake up call coffee blonde ale. Whew, it is a lot of coffee. It's got a lot of coffee taste to it. I'm not real. I don't know if I like that. We'll see. We'll see down the road. So I want to give a shout out to Big Blue Interactive. The user Frankenweezer asked a question. You were at the Giants 100 celebration, and you were there. I believe you were there with your daughter, correct?
Yes, my daughter, my girlfriend. Yes.
Okay. And he wanted to know what was the significance of the kilt, if there was a story behind that.
Well, yeah, there's always a story behind something. Well, when I came to Kansas City in 1994, I think it was doing the off season, doing one of these camps we ran, and some guys came over from Scotland, a rugby team come over in Kansas City, rugby, whatever. So they knew I played football, whatever. So we were talking before they came over, and they brought me over a kilt. I didn't know this until after a couple of nights of drinking with them. And if you ever had drinks with somebody from Scotland or England, woo! Man, those guys could drink, especially the rugby players. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we're at a bar, we're drinking, we're having a couple. I took a taxi home. I'm drinking with them, hanging with them. Those guys had a match the next day, and they're knocking them back. We started like at 8, and we're just like 2. And they went and played, and we did it for 2 days. I said, man, I can't do this anymore. So anyway, they gave me a kilt, an authentic kilt. It weighs 12.5 pounds. It's wool.
Oh, wow.
So they presented it to me, and we took pictures and stuff. And they said, we just asked that you wear it with pride and stuff, and wear it in whatever you want. So I promised them I'll wear it on special days, special occasions.
Oh.
So I will wear it on my birthday. I'll wear it on St. Patrick's Day. And now I felt that since I was part of the Giants 100 anniversary team, that's a special day for me, and I'm going to wear a kilt. So I wore it, and when I came out from my hotel room, got the elevator, everybody's looking like what the hell is this? And I don't care, And I don't know who asked me the question. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Lawrence, somebody. I mean, you weren't a kilt? I said, listen, I played, and I equated this to being like Greg Nettles or something like that. I said, listen, I played left corner for the New York Giants for 8 years straight. The hardest position to play in New York. I think wearing a kilt is easy compared to what I did.
Right.
Playing left corner. So that's the hot spot. Left corner. That's the hot corner. That corner is because our 99% of quarterbacks are right-handed. They're throwing right at you. So
right.
So wearing a kilt is easy. He goes, you got a good effing point.
Nice.
So wearing a kilt in front of 80,000 people, I didn't.
Nice. Well, so what else, Mark? I know 2-5 Sports. Tell me a little bit about the 2-5 Sports.
Yeah, what we do is we have student athletes get sports scholarships, male and female, to colleges. A kid will create a profile, and they can make a profile on a website, and it'll be on their phone or iPad, and they can send it to colleges that fit their criteria. Instead of waiting for a college coach to tap you on the shoulder and say, "We want you," the onus is on you and your parents to do the work and find schools that fit you. Because everybody can't go to USC, Notre Dame, or Tennessee,
right,
for athletic skills and sometimes grades. But you fit. You send it to wherever you feel that you can play, and it works out pretty well. We work with predominantly school districts, so we got 25 school districts right now that we work with throughout the country. So it's cool because I like what I do. I'm helping student athletes get exposure or
right,
a leg in the door, a foot in the door, and I'm not rating players. There's no 4-star, 5-star athletes because I wasn't a 5-star athlete. All I wanted was an opportunity. Once you give a kid an opportunity, you'd be amazed what they could do. Not just athletically, but academically. Just give a kid a chance, give them hope. They'll be great.
So I'll include that in the description when I put the podcast up. I'll have that in the description of the show so they can check it out. I think that's great. You might not have been a 5-star recruit, but if I'm wrong, you were first team All-American in 1985, though.
I was. You know what? And I get no love for that. I get no love for being All-American. I get no love for being All-Pro 1989. People forget that.
That's right. First team All-Pro.
Yep, and I was All-Pro in 2 positions, corner and safety, because I was All-Pro with the Chiefs at safety, 2 positions.
Well,
And
you're also forgetting one of your most
oh,
important specialties. And we've talked about how you're what an awesome cornerback you were, but fans don't know that we're the New York Giants music video
Oh no! Damn
where
it, Eric.
you show off your dance skills and your singing skills. I bought that because I was everything New York Giants at the time. And we'll show a little clip of it when we do this, but if you care to comment on your dance moves.
Listen, you know that thing. I love Giants fans. I'm gonna tell you, I played for three other teams other than the Giants, right?
Yeah.
The Giants fans are the best. They're the absolute best. So every year, that video pops up. It's all over YouTube, and I always chime in. I think it's great. Now, we could. That's a long story. I won't take up all your time.
No,
We'd
you're
love
fine.
to hear it. We'd love to hear
Yes.
it.
Man, let me tell you how this video started. So we're about to get on a bus going out to where are we going? We're going to San Francisco, I think. No, I don't know where we're going. We're going somewhere. No, yeah, we're going to Pasadena. We're going for Super Bowl. So at the last minute, Lionel Manuel comes into the locker room and starts asking guys, "Hey, you want to be on a video?" Me being a rookie, oh yeah, video. I'm thinking, Chicago
great.
Bears Super Bowl shuffle stuff.
Right.
So I'm going, hey man, where we put uniforms on, a jersey on, or something? Oh no, the league won't let us do it. I was going, what kind of shit is this? We can't put our. So he gets us to do it. Me, Herbie, Andy Hidden, William Roberts, Greg Lasker. I forget who else. Jerome Sally.
Jerome Sally.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oof. We're really digging into the names.
Okay. So we're doing this video, right? And you'll get residuals off the thing. So I'm going, nobody's buying this flipping thing.
Well, I got it. There's residuals.
I got nothing for that, Eric. I got nothing. So anyway, we're doing this video. We're dancing around looking silly, run out the tunnel. I didn't even know the effing words to this thing.
Well, not that complicated. We're the New York.
Yeah, me and William Roberts still make the steps. We are the New York Giants. Oh, it's the funniest thing. So anyway, so years and years, this thing, now it's on YouTube, and I always chime in. I always interact with Giants fans. I think it's great. So I'm going. Look at us. We look like a bunch of guys who broke into a stadium to do a video. We do. We have no affiliation with the team. None. No Giants hats, no jerseys, nothing. Like we broke into the stadium. But I'm glad I did it, because I'm going to tell you. I said this about maybe 30, 40 minutes ago. There's relevancy there. There's commitment there. It keeps you relevant. I don't run away from nothing.
Right.
I don't run away from a bad play. I don't run away from a good play. And this is all good play. It's all fun.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah. If you can't make it fun of yourself.
No, it's fun. Hey, at least I didn't get it on beta. I mean, so it's,
yeah, right. Right.
So the one thing I will share with you is before you came on, I mentioned to John I was going to blindside you with this, and I did say to him, I said, Mark was a rookie. They probably roped him into this at the last minute. So you at least confirm that. So.
Yeah, you're right. Because damn Lionel. But it's fun, and I'm glad I did it. And just as in life, when people ask the question, was there anything you want to do different? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There is nothing in my life. I mean, because I always think things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you learn from it, you grow from it, and you can laugh at it if you can, it's all worth it. I mean, this I think it's cool.
Yeah, it
That's pretty
is.
funny.
It is.
Well, first off, we've had you on for a long time, so we really appreciate it, Mark. And just again, congratulations on being in the top 100. You 100% deserve it.
Thank you.
Any of the other
Yeah.
players we've ever talked to in the past, when your name has come up, it's always with respect and with admiration, and fans my age range growing up when you came on board. You were kind of that piece that one of those pieces that put it over the top. We had some guys there, it was right there, but you were a difference maker, and you became that, not only the guy who joined it, but you were a linchpin in 90. We talk about the championship game. There are a number of shots of you absolutely nailing Andre Reed and Thurman Thomas. When those guys would catch the ball, you were drilling them. There was that video that they did where the sights and sounds from the field, and just the grunts and the groans and the hits, and you were putting people down. That whole time frame, 86 to 90, is one I'm not going to ever forget, and you were a big part of that.
Well, I appreciate that. And I tell you, it means a lot to be on that list. And I get fan mail a lot. And this one guy, to tell a quick story, he sent me a card to sign. And in the letter, he goes, he's from Connecticut. You are the only Giants corner who's played in that position, left corner, for 8 years consistently. And I'm going, how would he know something like this? So I went to the Giants starting lineup, whatever they got. So line for 8 years consecutive, 8 years starting, all-time Giants starting list. I'm the left corner as a starter.
Yeah. Yeah.
He says that's never been done. So, wow, okay, cool. Well, I think it's kind of cool. But with that being said, but what you said, John, was what I try to bring was toughness, stability, and responsibility and accountability to my teammates first, to the organization second, and it sounds bad, but to the fans third.
No.
And I think once I wove all those together, I think it worked out perfect. And that's the reason I'm on the list, because I had a great organization, got a great fan base, and the guys, I got hella teammates. I mean, they're great guys.
Well, we appreciate it, and so I'm gonna let you go there, Mark. And man, congratulations again, and thank you for coming on. And we'll take a break, and we'll come right back.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, we're back. Wow, Eric, that was an awesome interview with Mark. Great. I love talking to him. He's so at ease with talking about himself and the team and the times, and you could just tell the admiration that he has for being part of the Giants organization and what they accomplished.
Yeah, and I wish we had kept the camera roll going, because after he got off, he had some great comments on playing the Redskins, playing the Eagles, playing the Cardinals. I mean, it was really good stuff, and we'll probably have him on again sometime in the future, so I don't want to really spoil it, but there were some really eye-opening comments there that were like, whoa. Yeah, that was interesting. So he's one of those guys who, if you didn't watch the Giants back then, if you were too young or you weren't born, you look, like I said earlier, you look at the stats and you say 17 interceptions in 8 seasons. Yeah, what's the big deal? But that wasn't Mark Collins. Mark Collins was a physical corner who shut down his opponent, and who you didn't tend to throw in his direction. And the best thing about him is he was so darn physical, not just against the receivers, but defending the run. And we should have probably talked about that more. One of the reasons why the Giants were so darn good against the run was their secondary could tackle. Perry Williams could tackle, Mark Collins could tackle, and that was a huge part of that. So yeah, he's such seems like he's got his blank together. He just seems like he just seems like he's, everything about him is just put together well.
Yeah. So it was just so fun, because I mean, when we've talked, I can definitely go memory for memory with almost anybody back in the 80s, no problem. And those things, just vividly picturing in my head some of the things that we were talking about, those moments in time that I won't forget. And it was interesting too to hear what he said about, what I've always thought is that this team could have been a more than 2-time Super Bowl champion during that time. Some things worked against them, and it happens. You know, it is what it is. You know, you are what you are, right? That's the whole thing. But there was things that could have changed very easily. Bavaro blowing his knee out, I think, completely altered where the Giants offense ultimately could go. And there were other injuries that settled in. But the fact is, Bavaro was a huge difference maker and would have been, continued to be a difference maker. 88, you had kind of the same thing. If the Giants don't blow that game against the 49ers, San Francisco isn't even in the playoffs to begin what would ultimately become a potential three-peat run. They're not even in to win that Super Bowl in 88. That's how finite, but that's looking back and even hearing him talk. One of the things that I almost forgot, not really forgot, but you tend to put it aside because you look in division. Giants, Cowboys, Giants, Redskins, Giants, Cardinals, Giants, Eagles. Those were your division battles.
Right.
The rivalry of the 80s was the Giants and the 49ers.
Oh, God, yes.
They played each other multiple times in the playoffs. It was a big deal when they played each other. They were physical games. They were tight games. It's interesting now to look back on it and go, wow, it's crazy how those two organizations were really tied at the hip throughout the 80s.
Well, yeah, because they were our roadblock in 81 and 84. And then we beat them in 85. And of course, we lost to the Bears. But then the 86 and 90, we knocked them off. And so it's a heck of a rivalry. I mean, it even goes into that awful 93 game. And then, of course, it sort of came back to life when Eli was here, when we had the other championship game. So it's interesting. I just got a kick out of, like you said, two things that you said made me think of things. One is his memory about some things. I mean, to hear Ted Watts' name, that's a name
I know.
unless you really that's an obscure name from the blast from the past.
Yep.
But also just what you said, what I found was interesting was Leonard Marshall said it first, and I kind of chalked it up to homerism, optimism.
Sure.
But Mark said the same thing. They felt that they left some rings on the table. I never really got the sense of the 88 team. I was just mad that they didn't get. I was mad at the way the 88 team ended the season with the Jets. I mean that they should have won that game, and then they would have been in the playoffs. Whether they had a Super Bowl run in them, I don't know. But the 89 team obviously had a shot, and that would have been
the 49ers had the same record as the Giants in 88.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
the only reason they were in is because they beat the Giants in week 2. Giants win that game, you flip flop. Giants are in, 49ers are out.
You've got Leonard Marshall, Mark Collins, and John saying one thing, and Eric saying the other. So it's likely that you guys are.
What I'm saying is, I just felt like
at the time I thought,
sure,
I was more upset with the Jets game because it wasn't because I hate the Jets. It was like, how do you let that? Because I don't know if fans remember Phil Simms had this amazing comeback drive in that game, and then we let the Jets do the same thing and come down in the Altoon play.
Yeah.
And, it was just.
Well, Mark was out, like he said, but what I remember from that game too that will stick with me is the picture of Carson and Martin looking out onto the field from the tunnel, and that ultimately being their last game as part of that team. So. Yeah. Again, who knows? It's easy for me to say it, but the
89 team obviously had a shot. I mean, they had a shot. They were
absolutely.
They were playing at home.
The 49ers did not want to.
I mean, people will say the defense, but the offense screwed up in that game. Phil threw in a bad interception right before halftime.
Well, we basically had Phil was injured in that game. He had a bad ankle. LT was playing with a fractured ankle. He had hurt it against the 49ers weeks before, still played at the end of the year, but he was not 100%. He was a monster in the first half and then kind of faded in the second half. Obviously, that ankle began to hamper him.
LT
then Mark
used to
gets
play
hurt
with injuries that other people would not play with.
That's absolutely true. Yep. So anyway, let's wrap it up. So we're going to call these when we do get people on the top 100. This is going to be our inside the 100. So inside BBI's inside the 100.
Nice.
This is our second one that we've been able to do. Third one we've been able to do because we had Leonard and we had Rich Seibert, who was number 100, and now Mark Collins number 56. Leonard was number 26. So we're going to close it up here. Eric, that was a great interview, and I'm looking forward to the next inside the 100 with us. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode.